Hello, this is Paul from RankWyz. This video is how to for social bookmarking. Everything related for network setup and settings, working with accounts, and more important, setting up, editing submissions, creating single bookmark and sending it to your bookmark accounts. Submit multiple URLs for bookmarking, and more advanced settings of how to override submission settings for every individual URL. I have number of projects. I'm on a dashboard. I have number of projects, and I will be using this demo project. I can access it from the top menu and go directly to the network, or I can go to the project and select the network from there. And this is brand new network. There's no submissions, no activities. I loaded a new fresh bookmarking accounts into network, and you can see them if you go to accounts tab. On accounts tab, you can view your accounts. You can export them. You can add new account by selecting the platform we support, entering username and password. And if you have many accounts to add, you can use bulk import of using the format of highlighted here. There are a number of tools related, so you can move accounts to different network, delete. You can deal with error statuses. You can group them into account groups, delete. This will cover in a separate video, and you can filter them by status. This is very important because by default, system shows only accounts with the status alive, and as accounts might be getting deleted, or if you have the invalid username, password, or any other problem with the system, trying several times and updating account as invalid error, you will not see them as you access on accounts tab, but we never delete them. You can uncheck filter for alive. I can see all of them because I just loaded accounts. I don't see any deleted, invalid, or suspended accounts. And now I'm going to submissions, and obviously submissions are a configuration of how we want to post our bookmarks to our bookmark accounts. You can see them in the list, and you can click new submission to create. You can see the form is pretty simple, and this is a very basic template for the submission, for the pretty basic template of settings for the new bookmarking submission. You can give it a name. You need to give it a name. Enter tag. Let's say dental. Okay, obviously can enter multiple tab, comma separated. You can see that it's index supported, and you can enter how many times you want each URL to be bookmarked across your network. Default is 3. I will use, let's say for this example, 20, but obviously it's never too many bookmarking, because bookmarking is good for indexing and creating general link flow into your backlink flow into your blog posts or main site posts. So if you have enough accounts, you might set it up like 50, 100, even more per each URL. There's an option to spread posts. Obviously, you don't want them to be posted all at once. You can spread them across several hours or days. So let's say the good setup would be to have probably 200 posted over 2 weeks. So it will be slowly spread, and depending on how many accounts you have in your network. To see immediate results, I will be setting up with no post and delay, and I create submission. So now we have a network, and inside we have a submission, and this is a submission dashboard. You can see the settings we selected, name, tags, and how many times each URL will be submitted. There's a status, and I can stop submission. And when it's stop, you can see the delete button, so you can delete and to be warned, so that everything related to the submission, including URL, created URL, posts will be deleted. So I will activate it again. And now we have network, and inside we have one submission. So in order to create a bookmark, I'll go to URLs tab. So basically what we do, we post URL, and by nature of social bookmarking sites, users bookmark the URL they found interesting, and they optionally provide title and description for that to make it memorable. So this is what we're going to do with the creating bookmark. I create bookmark by clicking create bookmark on, once again, on URLs tab, and I enter URL I want to bookmark. In this case, this is YouTube video. I can type in title and description of the bookmark, or I can also load it from the page itself. And those two fields are also supported in spin text if you want a variety of the variation of the content. And you can override tags per bookmark, per submission setup, and you can override how many times every bookmark will be posted over the account. This is very important because your submission is just general setup. So basically you can set it up with a generic tag and generic setup, and use your bookmark, use it to bookmark that over and over every time you have a new link to bookmark. So you can see I submitted the URL. You can see that it's added, and if I refresh, you can see that total 20 posts were created. If I go on the posts tab, you can see that they all ready for submission, because we didn't set up any spread so that it is a current time. But if you want to change, you can click and modify scheduled time. You can obviously, if you don't like, you can cancel any of the individual posts. You can post them immediately for that to send them in a queue. You can preview submission as it is, because it is a bookmark, so it's pretty simple looking bookmark. It's very important to notice so that you can't put too much text. A lot of sites a limit of how much description you can put in a description tag, and if it will be too long, they will be failing. So now if I go back to overview, I switch to the overview, and you can see that I submitted one URL, and at the beginning they were all scheduled, and the total is 20, and it's probably a minute in, and you can see that 6 already successfully posted. If I switch back to the posts, you can see that none of the scheduled tab, but you can switch on the completed, and here you go. There are several posts already made successful. You can uncheck successful filter and see them all. you can see that they all in a state of and have status posting, and this number represent try. So basically what system does is not every account always going to be alive, or the site might be down, or it might be a problem like with our scripts so that we will be updating. So instead of you waiting for this specific account to be fixed, or if its account is down, system tries to make this post on the specific account and then retries on different account in a list until five times, and only then marked it as failed. This drastically improves the success rate. And if I now go, you can see that growing number of successful posts. So we just literally submitted it a couple minutes ago, and it's more than halfway through. And you can see that posting is close to completed. It's very important to understand that you don't need to create submission for every new URL you create. You can see that there is one URL that has been posted we requested it for 20 times for 20 sites, 20 accounts, and if I go and this time I want to bookmark my press release, let's say, I'll go to submissions tab, create new submission, import my press release, this time as a sorry, I messed up. So as I said, so you don't need to create new submission, a new submission for every bookmark you want to make, and this is our generic setup. You can see the tag is dental, but if I go to URL and create a bookmark for press release, I can override my tag to PR1, PR2, and I can set it up to post, let's say, 100 times. I will keep it down to 10, but you can see that now we have posts working for one working for one bookmark and for second one. The next is the next option is creating multiple bookmarks, bookmarking multiple URLs. If you have multiple URLs to bookmark, you will click Add URLs, and you see that you can paste multiple if they're related. Let's say you provide multiple press releases. And you will submit them. Because we don't provide title and description, and the system extracted from the actual page. So usually page has a very descriptive title and description, and this is how system that extracts and decides what to post for bookmarking. Although if you have your own idea of what to put in there, you can create you can put spin tags and create spin tags that if you believe that it will be better represent or make an SEO value for those URLs. You can put title, body, you can override tags and decide how each bookmark will be submitted. So if, let's say, I will use the basic setup and add URLs, You can see that 3 URLs were added for bookmarking, and the 20 posts were created for each. And if I go to preview, you can see that it's the title and description extracted from the page. And if I would want to use advanced settings, I would paste one or multiple URLs and in advanced options. You can copy and paste spin tags related for the title and description. I can override my tag and how many times I want to post it. Well, I use one, but in exactly the same way it will use for multiple, and I will submit it. And you can see once again 20 posts are 20 posts were created, each with unique, well, relatively unique spawn version. So now we have six URLs passing for bookmarking, and technically you saw that you can override most of the settings for each, and they all in a different they're making a different progress toward the completion. And if I go to overview, I can see the stats that the 6 URLs in total were submitted. 110 posts were created, and 63 of them already successful. As I said, that every URL, every post will be tried 5 times over your network accounts, assuming that you have enough accounts to post, because social bookmarkings, pretty much all of them, if not all, implement the rule that same URL might be submitted only once in the context of the user. So there's no, you cannot repost it over and over again in the same account. So so that's why I said we have a constraint of how many times you can post every URL. Compared to based on the number of your, it's a limit, number of accounts you have. It's a limit of how many times you can post each URL. But overall, you might set up one, like if you do regular work and you have a network, so you might be enough to have one rolling bookmarking submission where you keep adding your bookmarks whenever you need them to be done. And you can see that today 72 posts already made over bookmarking. And one more area to cover is another way of adding posts to the bookmarking is API. You can click an API and see the documentation. It's pretty straightforward, and you can see that with API you can override absolutely every set of every settings in the submission. So basically, once you create a submission, and if you have your own tool that need a bookmarking, so you can be pushing every link and with setting up parameters. If they are needed, so they will be taken from the submission. Otherwise, you can pass them all together with your post parameters, and you can see and you can have them posted as per your settings. So going back to overview, And you can see that 77 successful posts out of 110. It's pretty impressive, and we only have it's probably for 10 minutes. Thank you for watching, and thank you for using RankWyz.